Thank you, sir. I've listened keenly, Mr. President, to the submissions of members of the opposition, including the individual who spoke immediately before me, and to Jamaicans who were born yesterday. They might be excused with thinking that they heard the submissions of a national security expert. But the people of Jamaica should be reminded that the gentleman who pontificates as if he has all the solutions to the issue of violent crime in Jamaica is an individual who, when he had the opportunity to be National Security Minister and murder spiraled, he attended upon a platform and bawled that despite the best efforts of the security forces and the PNP administration, murders continued to spiral. He said the gains were low and slow. I bring to the attention of the Jamaican people that the individual who spoke just now and assumed the countenance of an expert on national security is the same individual who presided over a 6% cumulative increase in murders when he had the chance to be the National Security Commander-in-Chief. It's the same individual, sir, who had the indignity of being the first National Security Minister to be the victim of a burglary, as media indicated that he skylarked at Sansan Villa in Portland. Senator Bunting has no credibility to speak on matters of national security. I'd urge the people of Jamaica not to be confused or misled by his pontifications, which ring hollow when we recall his track record as a failure when he served as Minister of National Security. I wish to indicate as well, the member made the point that the opposition has been suggesting that murders under this current administration, this is the most that the country has seen over in terms of the term of any single administration. This is not accurate. The fact is, between 1989, when the PNP came back to power, having inherited a murder rate of 439 in the previous year, over 13,000 Jamaicans were murdered, culminating in 2005, when Jamaica was described as the murder capital of the world. 1,674 Jamaicans cut down.
Selective statistics won't work here. Don't try it. Tricks are for kids.
The opposition should not be allowed to use statistics to attempt to mislead the people of Jamaica. You know, I refer to an anecdote my former colleague Matthew Samuda had brought to the Parliament of Jamaica. He indicated that Independence Park Limited, which operates the National Stadium, which is a source of national pride, their capacity, their website tells us, is 35,000 people. What, however, is not a source of national pride is that for the past 30 years, between 1994 and 2024, criminals have murdered approximately 38,215 people in Jamaica. So imagine the stadium at full capacity, 35,000, grandstand and bleachers full. Violent criminals in Jamaica have gone beyond that figure in terms of the number of lives they have stuffed out over the past 30 years. 38,215. Not only a sobering statistic and a stain on the collective conscience of us as a nation, but indicative of families, dreams, and aspirations torn apart by decisive and irreversible violation of the most important constitutional right, the right to life. The fact is, we live in a society where, across various demographics, there is no regard, no value placed on saving human life. We are a young democratic nation, sir, a nation of laws. And for very long, I've been of the view that Jamaica should send a strong and emphatic message to criminals that we condemn the notion of taking the life of another unlawfully in premeditated circumstances, that murder is not to be tolerated. And if it is committed, criminals must know not only that they will be caught, but the consequences will be sure and far-reaching. It is in this context, sir, that I lend my support to the bills before us, which will increase penalties for the offense of murder under Jamaican law. I'm of the view that the bills appear to be carefully designed to not only send a strong message concerning the posture of the administration towards the act of murder, but they have been properly crafted to be proportionate, constitutional, and to show regard for the rights of all people, including the right to due process and rehabilitation in cases where it is genuinely warranted. My view regarding the proposed harsher punishment for people who murder our nation's children. It is true that the conscience of a society can be best assessed by how it treats society's most vulnerable. I believe that sage postulation lends appropriate context to my support for this particular section of the amendment. It is time to send a clear and strong signal to people who are minded to murder our nation's children. The amendments, of course, are not a panacea to solving the problem of violent crime in Jamaica, but it is part of the process, it's part of the solution, and a signal that the government of Prime Minister Andrew Holness takes very seriously our duty to protect and uphold justice in our country. I began by outlining some statistics which I described as sobering. I wish to say to the people of Jamaica that even as we commend the security forces for their work which has led to a decline in murders, it is important to note that strategic endeavor and policymaking have been key to achieving this positive outcome of a 44% decline in murders. I've seen the Prime Minister and the Security Minister at work, doing the painstaking research, calling the stakeholders together, crafting Plan Secure Jamaica, a plan to deal with violent crime, the first comprehensive plan of its nature, tabled in the Parliament of Jamaica. Therefore, when the opposition spokesman, who for many years deceptively suggested that there is no anti-crime plan in existence, when he says that the security forces deserve credit for the decline in violent crime, but no credit is to be ascribed to the administration, that is the most barefaced bit of intellectual dishonesty that I've seen in a very, very long time. Senator Sinclair spoke about the steps taken by this administration, investment we have made, over $80 billion invested in national security compared to $28 billion by the former administration. Senator Sinclair mentioned a number of the steps taken. I won't go over them, but a couple of them, significant expansion in the numbers of the security forces, technology, amending the anti-gang law, the Firearms Act, preparedness to use states of public emergency, investment of billions in protecting the nation's borders, improvement of the working conditions of the police. And importantly, this administration has been clear in indicating that we strongly support the security forces to defend themselves lawfully when they are confronted by gunmen. I note an inconsistent approach taken by the opposition to this business of the decline in murders. A few days ago, and today I heard the opposition spokesman on security purporting to congratulate the security forces. Indeed, he did so today. This is the same opposition spokesman in January of 2025, January 5, 2025, penned an article entitled Restoring Order, Building Peace, where he said, concerns persist about the accuracy of the JCF statistics, particularly allegations of suppressed murder totals. Quite unfortunate. But today he proposes to congratulate the security forces. I trust that the people of Jamaica and the hard-working men and women of the security forces will recognize the opposition spokesman's hypocrisy for what it is. Not too long ago, he was suggesting that the crime statistics, the murder statistics were suppressed. And I just read the quote into the record. I say to the opposition spokesman, sir, via the Parliament of Jamaica, I say to the opposition spokesman, shame on you for calling into question the professional integrity of the men and women of the JCF. Shame on you. Quite frankly, sir, I was disappointed that the opposition spokesman did not use his contribution to the Senate today to apologize to the hard-working men and women of the JCF and the JDF, whose hard work he ostensibly dissed for political mileage. He should apologize to the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for attempting to pour cold water on the gains made in the fight against crime. As I reiterate my support for the amendments which are before us today, sir, which seek to send a strong message to criminals that this administration is fully committed to bringing an end to their days of parading the streets and snuffing up the lives of Jamaicans. I conclude, similar to Senator Sinclair, with a message to the Jamaican people. Continuity is important. Let us not forget that when the opposition spokesman on security and the opposition spokesman on justice, who now aspire to lead Jamaica today, had their chance, they presided over a cumulative increase in murders after inheriting a downward trend. Let us not forget that when times got hot in the kitchen, the same opposition spokesman who wants to lead the security portfolio now, he went on a platform, his voice cracked, he appeared on the verge of weeping, and he lamented that the statistics were low and slow, despite the best efforts of the security forces and the PNP administration, which he suggested was not enough. The choice, my fellow Jamaicans, is clear. The weak leadership, 6% murder spike, and generally poor outcomes of Peter Bunting and Mark Golding during their last term. The choice, my fellow Jamaicans, is clear. The weak leadership offered by Bunting and Golding, who presided over a 6% increase in murders, of the carefully crafted current strategies and a 44% decline in murders presided over by Dr. Andrew Holness and National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chan. Quite frankly, sir, I believe it's evident, and there is no need to go back to weak leadership and poor outcomes which dogged the Bunting and Golding era. I'm confident that this is an important year of decision-making